What is your favorite season?
Awards.
The Academy Awards, the Golden Globes, the Razzies, the Stinker Bad Movie Awards. Real thing, by the way, I swear. But this past weekend were the BAFTA Awards, and we had a few twists and turns from the previous couple awards. First up, the one that probably turned the most heads, we got Robert Aramayo winning Best Actor. I'm pretty sure everyone was sure that Timothée Chalamet was gonna just take every single Best Actor award this year, but I'm glad he didn't. Seriously, go watch I Swear. That's what the movie's called. And I watched it yesterday after I watched the award. Would recommend. Best Supporting Actress, we had Wunmi Musaku from Sinners. Teyana Taylor won it at the Golden Globes, but I think for me, Wunmi Musaku's performance was a little better. And finally, the one that made me the hardest was Sean Penn winning for One Battle After Another. I mean, look who he was up against. Paul Mescal as William Shakespeare in Hamnet, Jacob Elordi as Frankenstein's creature, and Stellan Skarsgård as the dad in Sentimental Value. That just kind of blew my mind. Like, I don't think his performance was even nomination worthy. Other than that, the BAFTAs were a great time. I mean, who doesn't love Alan Cumming? Now that I think about it, they had two Scots host two years in a row. British Academy of Film and Television, my ass. Hi, I'm Zach, and welcome to Cinema This Week, the show where we talk movies, TV, and everything to do with the entertainment industry from the last 7 days. If you're new around here, make sure to like and subscribe, because I'm here for you every week. With the Dune trilogy coming to a close, with Part 3 coming out in December, Denis Villeneuve is heading over to one of cinema's biggest franchises. He's going to be directing the next generation of James Bonds. So today, I'm going to rank the potential 007s. I compiled this list from different articles online and also put in a few actors that I think should be Bond that I didn't see anyone else talking about. Okay, so first up, we have Aaron Taylor Johnson. I really like him as the idea for James Bond. We saw him in Kraven the Hunter, which is kind of like a spy-ish movie. Like, he's trying to hunt people. That's basically what spies do. He's the age range for it. I think they're trying to go younger with Bond this time because Daniel Craig was one of the older Bonds. In the books, he's described as a man in his 30s to early 40s. So I think Aaron Taylor Johnson being 35 is a great step in that direction, and I feel like he'd make a great next James Bond. So I'm going A tier. My second option is Archie Madekwe. This is not one that I've been seeing often. I thought he would be great. I watched him in Saltburn. I saw him in Gran Turismo. And he is a model, so I feel like he's already up there with, like, Pierce Brosnan level. I want to give him a B. Solid B tier. Okay, this next one is Callum Turner. He is being poised as the front runner for the next James Bond. And I haven't seen him in anything, so I can't really comment on this. But people are saying he'd be a decent James Bond, and he's, like, currently the one being talked about the most. So I'm going to go ahead and also give him an A tier, just because I don't know that much about him, but all the articles online are, like, coming to the consensus that he's probably the front runner. Next one is also one I haven't heard people talking about much, and that is Damson Idris. Damson Idris was the one in the F1 movie, and he fits the criteria. All of these are British men, right? Austin Butler commented on this, and it was because he was asked if he wanted to audition or something like that, and he was like, I think that needs to be a British guy. And hey, shouts out to Austin Butler for not being like, yeah, hell yeah. Okay, Damson Idris, I'm also gonna give a B because I think he's a little young to be the James Bond archetype. I think he's in his late 20s. It wouldn't be like the best fit of all time, but I do think it would be really, really awesome to see a Bond, a black Bond, or just a Bond that isn't white. Next up is Harris Dickinson. He's been floating around up there with Callum Turner and Jacob Elordi, who's also on the list, but we'll get to him. I think that Harris Dickinson makes a really, really strong case for being the next Bond, because we've seen him in Baby Girl, the way he can command a scene. And he was also in the Kingsman prequel where he played Conrad Oxford. We saw him kind of becoming a spy in that movie as well. And I feel like he makes a really strong case. So I'm going to give out the first S tier of the video. The first S tier hit the video. Next up, we have Idris Elba. This one's he's been floating around as well. I think it would be really awesome to see a Bond that isn't a stereotypical white guy. He does have the charisma. He does have the vibe. But I think he's just too old to play Bond. Daniel Craig started playing Bond when he was 38, and people thought that was even a little bit too old. And Idris Elba is 53, because we might get 1, maybe 2 movies out of him. So I'm going to give out the first C tier. Next up, we have Jacob Elordi. This, I understand, right? He has a lot of the vibe of James Bond, but he is Australian. Yeah, he can do a British accent. We saw that in Wuthering Heights. But is he the perfect fit for this as a whole? Probably not. So I'm going to also put him in C tier with our boy Idris Elba. This next one I also didn't see a lot, and that is Jonathan Bailey. Jonathan Bailey is that guy. If you watch Bridgerton, if you watch Wicked, like even in Jurassic Park, there's like those memes where it's like Jonathan Bailey could have chemistry with a wet napkin. And that's exactly what James Bond is. He's this guy that can command a room, but also disappear in it. I'm also going to give him an S tier because I think this is a great option. A great option. Second S tier of the video. Another S tier hit the video. This one, we have Josh O'Connor. Josh O'Connor, famous for Challengers, famous for Wake Up Dead Man. I don't see him as our next James Bond. He is like almost too much of a nice guy. Hi, I'm Zach, the editor, and I would like to formally apologize for what I was about to say. I told you guys that because Josh O'Connor is a smiley person in real life, that he wouldn't make a good James Bond. I would like to renounce that formally. I totally forgot about The Crown. I don't know how. He straight up won an Emmy for that, and it was one of the most calculated performances I've seen. So I'm gonna posthumously give him, he's not dead, but I'm gonna posthumously give him a B tier, because I think he has about as much chance as Archie Madekwe and Damson Idris. So I'm sorry, Josh O'Connor. Please forgive me. Reg Jean-Page is next. I only know him from Bridgerton, but hey, you got enough charisma. He's also, I think, late 30s, so it's like a perfect fit for Bond. I'm gonna give this guy an A. Solid performance there. Who's this guy? I forget. Oh, Theo James. Okay. Like, who the hell is that? Theo James, and I also really, really like him as our next option. While he is tall, pretty, and British, there's a little bit more to him. So I'm thinking of Cam in White Lotus, where he can, like, I feel like his Bond would be similar to that, where he just doesn't care. And he's like, I'm going to do this, but not really because you want me to, right? I also feel like he'd be really good up there with Aaron Taylor-Johnson and these three in the A tier. We're going to give him an A. And finally, Mr. Peter Parker himself, Tom Holland. Tom Holland, I feel, would bring a very, very young vibe to James Bond. He would kind of be similar to his Uncharted character, similar to Peter Parker. He'd be a clumsy James Bond. And I feel like that could be really fun. I'm getting word now that this could be really fun. And I think he has a real shot because we want this next generation of Bond to be younger. And so I want to give him also a B tier. I feel like he makes a strong case, but he will have to make that strong case because he is young, and stereotypically Bond is given to older actors. So my two front picks are Harris Dickinson and John Bailey, but I feel like these two rows also have a shot. These guys I don't think are going to be the next Bond in C tier, but all these three, you guys got that. Who do you guys think should play the next Bond? Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. But let's talk about the A Night of the Seven Kingdoms finale. The finale released on Sunday. I've talked about this show before, so if you want to hear my thoughts about the season, click wherever. But the finale was a quiet conclusion. It was like the opposite of the Game of Thrones finale, where it's like, fire! Whoa! It was like, let's watch Dunk go through his emotions of the events of the Trial of the Seven and talk with his new Targaryen buddies, I guess. And it was just like a really down-to-earth finale, I feel. In the end, though, him and Egg do set off as knight and squire to Dorne, with a small revelation about the Seven Kingdoms themselves.
Suppose we could go anywhere in the Seven Kingdoms, though I've never been to. What?
There are 9 kingdoms, sir.
Are you mad?
Is that relevant?
There are 7 kingdoms of the realm, boy. Everyone knows that.
Then everyone is wrong.
Do you want to clout in the ear?
Crownlands, Westlands, Stormlands, Riverlands, the Iron Islands, the North, the Reach, the Vale of Arryn, and Dawn.
I really liked this series. There was still the drama that George R.R. Martin can procure and is a king at. But it was much more grounded, much less about the powers at play, and more just about human stories themselves. Luckily for us, Season 2 is confirmed with a 2027 release, so we won't have to wait too long to pick up with Dunk and Egg. On the interview front, the star of Hamnet, Jessie Buckley, recently sat down with Deadline's Antonia Blythe to talk about her process during the film Hamnet. Jessie said that when she first met with Chloé Zhao, that she hadn't read the book that Hamnet is based on, but when she got her hands on a copy, she didn't put it down and read it in one night. She then brought up kind of her process and how she goes through working on something like this. She said her method involves her house in the English countryside where she wears ratty sweatpants, she lights fires, she cooks, she doesn't watch TV, she spends time with her family, and that she couldn't sustain where she likes to go in her work if she didn't have somewhere to go back to and just be human, be allowed to take a breath. Jessie gave some insight on how Hamnet was created also, how it was more of an ensemble directing kind of thing where not just everything was Chloé Zhao's mind and creation. For example, in the final scene, I think you all have seen this by now, where the whole audience puts their hand out so they can communicate with Hamlet. She said, quote, "There was no reaching out before. There was no Hamlet comes back to the stage. All of that started to come as we were moving through it." And when I read that, I was shocked because I am someone who is not smart enough to comprehend the intricacies of Shakespeare just yet, and so that was the part that I really connected with, seeing it visually, them all collectively moving through these emotions. And so when I learned that wasn't in the script, it was kind of shocking. Hamnet is a remarkable film, only being reinforced by its successful awards season, including the Golden Globe for Best Picture Drama. It was after receiving the award that Chloé Zhao gave one of the most from-the-heart speeches I think I've seen in a while. While the Grammys were also a few weeks ago, artists like Bad Bunny, Billie Eilish, Kehlani used their speeches to make statements that needed to be heard, like fuck ICE, love is love, that sort of thing. While different, I think that Chloé Zhao, what she said was also very important to the world of filmmaking and the world of sharing stories in general. She starts by telling us something Paul Mescal said to her, how he said that during making Hamnet, it made him realize that the most important thing about being an artist is learning to be vulnerable enough to allow ourselves to be seen. And there's this famous quote, I forget where it's from, but it's, "To be loved is to be seen," or the reverse, I don't remember. But I find that especially true in the space of cinema. How that without fully putting our hearts on our sleeves, no true art would ever be made. Because behind all the glitz and glamour of Tinseltown, it's just people expressing themselves, telling their stories. She's basically saying that no matter what happens, that we need to keep love at the forefront. Zhao ended her speech with this.
And let's do this together. Let's keep our hearts open, and let's keep seeing each other, and let's keep allowing ourselves to be seen. Thank you. Women
in their 30s and 40s let out a collective, "Aww." this Valentine's Day when star of Heated Rivalry Hudson Williams posted this on Instagram. It's funny, sure, but I think it's also kind of highlights this bigger issue in Hollywood where people immediately assume when people play queer people on TV that they must be queer in real life. We saw the same thing happen with Timothée Chalamet and Armie Hammer when they were filming or when they were interviewing for Call Me by Your Name. Why do we do that? It's not like when I first watched How I Met Your Mother, I assumed Neil Patrick Harris must be a womanizing straight man in real life too. Acting is acting. Characters are characters. We really need to move away from this like weird instinct to speculate about people's identities. Instead, let's just celebrate people. Like, everyone liked their performances. Just focus on the performance. You don't need to be weird about it. All right, let's close out this week's CTW with our movie of the week. I want to talk about Send Help. Spoilers ahead if you haven't seen the movie. I'll see you next Friday. I saw Sam Raimi's most recent film on February 16th. Me and my brother went to see it while our parents went to see Wuthering Heights, so you can guess who had the better afternoon. When I was writing my outline for this video, I accidentally wrote Get Help as the movie for the week, which in hindsight also can describe this movie. So Linda Little, who's played by Rachel McAdams, and Bradley Preston, who's played by Dylan O'Brien, they are going to Thailand for this like business retreat or something. When their plane goes down in the ocean, and when they wake up on this island, they're the only two to have survived. But Bradley has like a really fucked up leg now, and Linda, because she watches Survivor, because she reads all these books about survival, she has been on trips before like this. She's able to like protect him and feed him and all this stuff, and so he is kind of like bedridden in a sort of way where he can't move because of his leg injury. And so Linda goes out and explores. And so once he's better, she takes him up to this like lookout point. We can see like the whole island. And she's like, see that X over there? And there's like an X made out of rocks. Over there, there's like a bunch of thorn bushes and like wildlife. So just like don't go over there. And he's like, got it, rose bushes and stuff. And so they like live on this island for a bit. And he's like, when are we going to start trying to get found? And she's like, soon. And so one day when she is over by the waterfall she sees a boat go past. And she's like, not yet. And you're like, not yet, brother, what? And so you watch the boat go by and she's like, not yet, I'm not done here. And it's like, gulp. And so the movie keeps going. They make like a whole little area for themselves on this island. One day his fiance finds them and Linda's like, oh fuck, how do I get them out of here, because he's mine. And so she ends up straight up killing them. Like she pushes them off a cliff or something, or they just fall off a cliff and she watches, which is crazy. And I don't know, man, Rachel McAdams, holy shit, dude. I haven't seen anything that she's been in other than Mean Girls, but like, I was not aware of your game, Miss Rachel McAdams. He poisons her one night when she's like, let me cook you dinner, and he poisons her. And so he runs out and he has a raft. He's built himself a raft, and he tries to and he goes a few meters into the ocean and his raft falls apart, and she goes, all right, Bradley. And he wakes up and she's like, has a knife, and she's like, we had a dog when I was a child. He was always getting into things. She's like twirling the knife. And my dad always just said he needed to be fixed because he was getting into too much trouble. And I'm going to do that to you, Bradley. And so she like goes to fucking neuter this guy. And she's like, haha, it's just a rat. But next time it won't be a rat. And you're like, bro just watched his life flash before his eyes. She was crazy. And in the end, like, they're both attacking each other because they're fed up. He's fed up that she's not trying to leave, and she's fed up that he's trying to leave. And so they fight, and he ends up running to the place she told him not to go, right? And there is a giant house that's like this private island for this rich Wall Street guy. And he's like, this island isn't abandoned at all. And so he gets into the house, and she's like, I found this months ago, Bradley, or weeks ago, Bradley. I turned off the security camera so no one's gonna help you. And she ends up killing him. And then, like, the epilogue is, like, her at a golfing tournament, because that was why they were on the plane in the first place, is because she was trying to become VP, but he's like, I need someone who I can golf with. You're not someone who I can golf with. And so it ends with her at a golfing tournament, and she wins or whatever, and a news reporter comes up to her, and she's like, Linda, can you tell us anything about your next ventures? It's been a year since you were found floating alone on a raft in the middle of the ocean. And she's like, well, I'm writing a self-help book because you have to help yourself. No help is coming. And then it ends. And I was like, oh. I loved it. I gave this a 4 stars. This was a great movie. So if you have the time, go see Send Help. So that's going to do it for cinema this week, you guys. Let me know if you want me to talk about anything specific next time. And yeah, have a good one.